Mastery learning is defined by Anderson as a set of learning strategies that are either group-based or individualised that will enable pupils to achieve a higher level of learning when given enough time. Mastery learning means spending greater time and depth on a piece of work or subject rather than racing on to the next topic. This should enable children to have a deeper understanding of the concepts and not leave large gaps in the learning due to areas of the curriculum being taught too quickly. According to the NCETM, practice and consolidation play a central role in mastery learning. Mastery learning is the ability to break the national curriculum into units of work with specified learning objectives and aims. These aims are practiced and modelled until a mastery level of 80% has been achieved on an end-of-topic test. Mastery learning participants work through objectives in sequential steps. Students must achieve the expected 80% in order to move on to the next unit of work. If mastery is not reached, additional support and differentiation is used in order to reach the expected level. Mastery learning aims to avoid unnecessary repetition with the regular summative assessments used to evaluate if mastery has been achieved. Bloom first introduced mastery learning in 1968 and believed that with a controlled environment and set skills, children would be able to achieve a higher attainment level. Since the new national curriculum in 2013, Bloom's ideas and strategies have been used in British classrooms to try to raise the standards of children's education by consolidating their learning and truly understanding the topic. Hattie and Timperley state that mastery learning encompasses the use of regular formative assessments to systematically monitor student progress and give students prescriptive feedback. These succinct, regular assessments reinforce precisely what students were expected to learn, identify what they learned well, and establish what they need to learn better. Sternberg highlights that mastery learning teachers use corrective instruction approaches that accommodate differences in students' learning styles, learning modalities, or types of intelligence. Bloom argued that intense, individualised assistance offered early in an instructional sequence would drastically reduce the time needed for remediation in later units. Bloom contends positive outcomes of mastery learning are split into two different categories: affective outcomes and cognitive outcomes. The effective outcomes of mastery learning consist of a created self-sufficiency and a confidence for the child, a higher motivation for the children to learn, lesser feeling of frustration and anxiety, and a creation of lifelong interest and motivation in certain areas. Other positives are the cognitive outcomes. Mastery learning creates an excellence in topic areas before moving on to others, thus avoiding hurried glossing over of skills and knowledge. According to the Education Endowment Foundation Toolkit, mastery learning can potentially gain 5 months' progress on normal teaching strategies. Although it requires some adaptation, mastery poses many advantages for the class later on. Northern Illinois University states that mastery in the classroom should firstly clarify what the intentions of their learning are and what the purposes are. There should be no consequence of error when answering questions. Finally, children should be aware of their own targets and have the ability to set goals by the end of every lesson. Despite these positives of mastery learning, research has also highlighted some negatives. The EEF highlights that it is difficult to implement mastery learning effectively within the classroom, as it is a complex system and therefore ample work must be put into the design and preparation of how it is to be implemented. Furthermore, the EEF comment on how mastery learning appears to be a lot less effective when pupils are left to work at their own pace rather than working cooperatively in a class or group setting. When looking at the skills that the students gain from mastery learning, Guskey and Piggott discussed that it is unclear as to whether these skills, such as organisation, the ability to pace their own learning, using feedback from the teacher and correcting errors in their work, can be effectively transferred by the pupil to other subjects. There have also been some misinterpretations by teachers regarding mastery learning, which have been highlighted by Guskey. These include inaccurate interpretations of mastery, which are focused on low-level skills where pupils had to master each area before being allowed to move on and progress. As well as that, Guskey further reports that some teachers believed that lesson time within the classroom would put constraints on their efforts to implement mastery, and that the coverage of subject areas and topics would come at a price for the development of mastery. Mastery learning as a concept is currently being implemented in numerous primary schools across the country. Yet, as more research is unveiled, the true value of mastery will become more transparent.